Hello and welcome to Model Railroad Designs and welcome to another layout design video. And today we have this 12 by 15 foot shelf layout, purely designed for switching and to be expandable later on to fit in a larger layout. So let's dive straight in and have a look, because this is going to be a fun one. So where do we start? Well, initially we had this smaller space, I believe it was 10 by 12 feet. And if you draw in just a 30-inch radius piece of track and then some kind of siding, then you get very quickly a sense of what will fit and what won't fit in the space. And that's not a lot. On top of that, a lot of the structures were already built. There's an ethanol plant, more on that in a second. Furniture manufacturing kit, a really big building right there. There was also this asphalt factory, cement plant here on the left, your plastics manufacturer, quite a lot. Another background building, small frozen food building. So plenty to choose from. Definitely too much to all squeeze on the layout. So having a closer look at the room that the client has, we found some extra feet. So now we're at 15 feet here on the top dimension and 12 feet going here down below. And that makes all the difference. Really, that really makes all the difference, because now we can have some industry switching or a heavy industry area, let's say, dedicated to individual industries here on the top. And here at the bottom end, we can have staging or a yard. Another requirement that the client had is he wanted to make everything expandable by having a main line go all the way through the layout. So then later he can connect it to a different layout in a new house, etc., etc., which I think is a great idea. So the first step to try to get some sense of all this is just to see what will fit. So put in a little yard ladder here, just to get an idea, some tracks. We have so many industries, so we'll just start to sketch them in, something here, the asphalt factory, maybe a furniture factory here. And now a big downside of building the structures, because this one right here in particular is the furniture factory. Let's just zoom in on that a bit. And here's the furniture factory, and it's very well modeled and put together, super tight. See that. But what do we need from the railroad point of view? We only need this section here, where the loading bay doors are. We don't really need this entire surface area. It doesn't really tell a story. Of course, if there is a loading bay for trucks and you want to tell that side of the story, that it's a road to rail transfer or whatever like that, I get it. So my tip would really be to not build kits before you know the design of the layout. That's actually what I was getting to. And now here, this section is the ethanol plant all the way over here. And this is not my design, because the client actually wanted the design from Tim. He basically really liked the ethanol plant from Tim from the Seaboard Central. He also has a YouTube channel, so check that out, Seaboard Central. Make sure to subscribe. Is a fantastic YouTube channel with so much knowledge and great modeling skills. And so here's the plant. So basically we replicated to a certain degree the track plan. We don't have as much space as he has, but especially the setup here with some storage tracks on the left. Yeah, storage tracks on the left, and then the loading bays and the tanks here in the back. So let's have a look. It'll be something like that. So we have some storage tracks. Actually, this is the main line, and then 2 storage tracks, and the loading, unloading bays. We need some turnouts, obviously, and then here the tank car would be somewhere there, the unloading. Now, it is a switching layout, so we're going to want to have a passing siding or siding somehow. And these are the main elements. Let's move on. Now, if you also like furniture plants or ethanol plants, please like this video. So here's the final design. Let's go through the entire thing. Let's start with the main line. The main line is here, and we continue. We have a 34-inch radius, and also an onset on it, of course. And then we go down here to this track. And this is all the main line as we go through here. As you see, I added some cars to it. Let me just zoom in here. Let's just go through it to give you an idea. Grain hoppers, spline cars for lumber, open bay hopper, tank car there, tank car here. So the idea is to have the actual ethanol industry with this 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks all here from the same turnout coming from the siding. So that is the beginning of the plant right there. And then these 2 storage tracks are coming off the passing siding. So these could actually be used in this design to store other cars from other industries. Now the passing siding as it is now holds 5 grain hoppers or 4 plus engine, but there's only going to be 1 engine on the layout. So we don't need to pass each other. So let's make it 5 cars. I'll get back to the siding length in a bit. And then here we have the unloading of the 2 tank cars. And yeah, this is a very fun setup. You can check Tim's channel on how to exactly switch this. It's quite straightforward, to be honest. Just switching out full cars and empty cars and putting them here on the storage tracks. This will be a fun section to switch. Now, because we don't have a lot of space, let's just talk about the siding now. Let me zoom out. We don't have a lot of space. So of course, this siding is relatively short in railroad terms, only 5 cars long. So you could say, oh, let's make this siding all the way here to the back, and then we have this massive passing siding, and then we can have another crossover within the siding, etc., etc. And that would be great, but less is really more. We really need to dim the expectations and have less track. And right here is the lumber / transfer yard. And here we actually had 2 tracks. So there's the first example. Let me go to an old design. Yeah, let me go back to that old design. So here we actually had 2 tracks just very roughly sketched in. Now I want to talk about this big building. As you see, it's taking so much space, we can't even get it in its entirety. So what is an effective use of a kit and also of your space? Let's just say we want to have this like this. Is you don't want to have the entire building on the layout. There's no need for it. So what you can do is if you have a kit like this, is you chop it up, you cut it in half, right? So now we have a bottom half here and a top half. And in this top half, you can just flip it. It's the same angle as the other half. And you can put it, for example, like this. And now this one is obviously gone then. And now you have from one kit, you have a building that appears to be twice as big. I would make it way shallower, something like that maybe, like that, or even like that. So that just saves a huge amount of space to not have this entire structure on the layout. So back to the layout, we ended up not using that building at all. The client had another kit with these 2 lumber sheds, and then make it also a bit of a generic transfer yard. So not only lumber, now I drew in 2 lumber cars, but anything could be transferred here from the rail to the road and vice versa. Also tank cars, for example. So that's this industry. You want to give it a little bit of space and yeah, presence. So don't fill the industry all the way from one to the other. It's already so tight, the space we have, but add some bushes, take the time, put a fence, separate the ethanol from this place over here. And it's the same with the asphalt factory. Give it a little bit of its own setting. You don't need to just asphalt in this entire area. I think that's just overkilling it a little bit. I wanted to place this structure before and in front of the main line here because you want to have some view blocks that you don't see the train all the time, but that it disappears behind the industries and trees if possible to give a sense of travel and distance. Now going around the other side of the layout, initially we had more industries here in the back and a bit of a larger scrapyard, but it was just getting too crowded. So we opted out. With the cement industry was here, so I thought we got to take that out. And ideally, I also would want the scrapyard to be out and really to give the layout some space because now it's well, it's not full, but there's a lot happening, right? And less is sometimes more. But fine, this is a lower industry, not a big building. I can live with that. But at least let's have this backdrop clear. Let's have some nature here, a little creek with some culverts. Don't go all out with a big bridge, just something small. We don't have space to squeeze a bridge in here, I think. What one could do as well, if you want to have less, is take the asphalt plant out and have the scrapyard here, a bit of a larger scrapyard scene, and then remove the scrapyard and have just greenery here all along. Another element added to give a sense of travel is here this road that goes over the track. And fill in the layout, give it some presence, add some structures here in the back. to show that there's more than just the buildings that we are using as a railroad, but it's in a bigger world. Now, I said I made the scrapyard a little bit smaller, but if you see, we still have 1, 2, 3 cars that can be inside the yard itself, and there's some overflow where you could spot one here outside of the yard. Now we come to the yard. Let me just rotate it so we can have a better look. And what exactly is happening here? So we have, this is the main line that goes through the layout. And then we have, I would say, an inbound slash outbound track right here. Then we have 2 classification tracks and an engine spare track, or a track to fuel the engines. Now there's no through traffic on the main line, so we can use this to advantage and have this also dedicated for, let's say, inbounds, and then we have the outbounds, or 2 inbounds, and then as we switch everything around to 2 outbounds right here. It's just an idea of a sense of what will fit. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 80-foot tank cars. And here we can have, what was it? I think 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 and 7 on the other one. Cars right there. And this, I think, is a nice setup. Once the layout expands, you can, obviously make the yard bigger. And then we have more capacity on the yard itself. So the main line will free itself up right there. This is meant to be the tail end of the yard. So we're missing some crucial, normally, yard details, but we don't need it here. Like a yard lead, we don't have a yard lead. So all the switching in our case, for the classification tracks, will happen on the main line. So we're fouling the main line. But because it's a switching yard, that's fine. But if you do connect this to the rest of the layout, then you will want to have a yard lead, which you can model here to the right. Now, there's a little crew office here where teams can rest, and maybe there's some paperwork done there. Fueling of the engines is done here just along the track with a truck. Don't need to really go all out with an engine facility. If you would want that, again, you can model it later there when we have more space. We have one industry track right here with a pellet factory, plastics factory, where they receive pellets and with through injection molding make all kinds of fantastic consumer products. And here we have a pipe factory with a roll pipe. So we have sheets of steel coming in, being offloaded inside the building. And we also have a crane here to load maybe some finished products. And now I want to quickly talk about the schematic and how all this would be operated. So I counted all the spots at the various industries, and that comes in at, here as well, 26. Hope you guys can read that. And coincidentally, a pure coincidence, all the tracks right here also hold 26 cars. So that is very balanced. Ideally, you would want to have a little bit more space in the yard just to keep it all empty. But it's a small switching layout. I think it'll be just fine. Now, this 26 is excluding 7 cars that can be stored right here. So there's a bit of an overflow because the ethanol facility is by far the largest industry on the yard. But it's good to have a little bit of an overflow. Now, the runaround here can hold 5 grain cars or 4 tank cars. And it's not a lot, but then again, it doesn't need to be a lot. You also don't want to make it too big. So what does this mean in operations? It means that all the cars right here are going to be sorted, classified. You're gonna you can switch this one because it's trailing as the yard is trailing, scrap yard is trailing. Asphalt plant is trailing, which is nice. There's some easy, relatively easy, quick operations are always really fun and enjoyable to do. But for the lumber transfer and the entire ethanol facility, we need to use the runaround to switch them like that. So you're going to go from the yard through this track to the switchback, go to the other side of the cars, and then you can switch these industries. This is nice because it also means that when you are finished and you go back, that you're shoving with the engine behind the cars back in that direction, which I think always looks really nice. It's a bit of a personal preference thing, but I think that always looks really nice. Now, if you want to buy this design to replicate it or to use it, integrate it in your own track plan, you can go to my shop. And it also includes not only the AnyRail file, which is actually the main thing, but also includes a document that gives the line diagram. All my track plans have line diagrams. And also a part count of which parts you're going to need, which turnouts, how many pieces of flex track, etc. And if the design is made with sectional track, there's an entire plan of which segments go where. So have a look at my store. And for everyone who is a member and who sees this video early, thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member. That's it for today. Bye-bye.